All right, guys. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Crawford County, Illinois Ghost Hunter Society live talk show. Got a few things to talk about tonight, but first off, I want to tell you guys this is episode number 58. So we are getting up there in episodes. If you have not seen our previous episodes, they are posted up on Facebook and YouTube. You guys can go check them out. Definitely check out our old episodes if you guys haven't seen that. But you can check out our website at crawfordcountyghosthunters.org. Not been on there. Tonight's music, as always, is by the Midnight Syndicate. We've used a lot of their music in the past. We continue to use their music. They gave us permission to use that, and permission. Check them out on Spotify and YouTube. MidnightSyndicate.com is their website. You guys can go on there and check out that if you like horror gothic style music. Check them out for sure. Trying to get my comments pulled up. So looks like we got a few in the comment section here, guys. Tonight's show. We're going to talk about some Halloween topics and some of our stuff coming up for Halloween also. Hang in there. It might be a short show. We're probably only going to go about an hour tonight, but I'm going to get to the point. And I'm also, for the Halloween topic tonight, I'm going to talk about the 5 most haunted places and the theories behind why we believe these are the 5 most haunted types of locations for paranormal activity. So hang in there, guys. It's going to be a good one. And we want to thank everybody also that took our haunted tours over the past weekend. We had a pretty good turnout on the 8th. Also, when we did our Pine Lawn Manor tour on the 8th of October, had a huge turnout that night. One of the biggest turnouts we've had so far at Pine Lawn Manor on October the 8th. And that's when the ladies came. Jody and her group came from down south a little bit, and they come up and investigate with us. And they, oh my gosh, guys, we had some crazy things happen. Had about, I don't know, I think we had 15 objects thrown. I told you a little bit about this, but we had some weird objects thrown. I'm going to grab a couple real quick so I can show you guys. This has never happened. I've got to pull these objects up so I can show you guys. But this was thrown at a person at Pine Lawn Manor. Kind of got a dark effect going tonight, but I don't know if you guys can see that. That is like a drain plug out of a bathtub. And it's got a little metal ring on it. That got thrown at a guy in one of the rooms. My niece got hit in the head with this nickel. She had never seen any of the activity before, so that's kind of cool. A guy got this thrown at him. Don't even know what this is. It's off of a chair or something, some type of knob, or I'm not real sure what it's off of, actually, or where it came from. But that hit a guy in there also on the 8th on our haunted tours there in Pine Lawn Manor. So if you guys have not checked that out, definitely check out our haunted event page, which is up on Facebook right now, pinned to the top of our Facebook page now because people weren't finding it. So I do have it pinned to the top, guys, so you can just scroll down and see what's going on. Just real quick, last weekend, we have the jail and Pine Lawn Manor at the same time, a double ticket to where you could go to both and go back and forth. If you guys did not watch our live feed on that, you guys have to definitely check that out and go watch especially part 2 of that live feed. Spencer, I'm just kind of give you a little backstory here. He'd reached out to me. He'd been on our haunted tours, I think, for the past couple of years there. Maybe since we started the Pine Lawn Manor tours. Spencer was taking them with him and his girlfriend, and it was their first date a couple years ago at Pine Lawn Manor. He took her as, his first date there to one of our haunted tours, which is pretty cool. And they continued to go. And this year he decided that he was going to propose to her. And at midnight at Pine Lawn Manor this past weekend, we had a proposal. And it was in the sensory room there at Pine Lawn Manor at midnight. Pretty cool. We did a backwards countdown just to see if anything would happen. I was hoping it would throw him something, like it would throw him some type of like pre-wedding gift or something. I don't know, some like cool marbles or coins or confetti, or we tried to get a throw bag of rice even after they done it, but no luck. We didn't get any objects thrown after he proposed, but pretty cool. So you never know what's going to happen here in the Crawford County, Illinois Ghost Center Society live feeds. He reached out to me, and we kind of had, some of us had it planned, and I just want to let people know we don't usually throw things. That it was a planned event because he had wanted to make it look like, one of the paranormal occurrences that take place there at Pine Lawn Manor. So he gave the ring box to me, and we kind of threw the box, in the dark, and he picked it up, and then we turned the lights on. He proposed to his girlfriend. Pretty cool event there. So you guys definitely have to go back and watch part 2 of our Pine Lawn Manor haunted tour for last weekend. It was pretty neat. But again, I want to congratulate both of them on their engagement. And this weekend coming up, we've got our Crawford County haunted tours on the 10th or the 21st. Sorry, so looking at 10, 21, 22 is the date there instead of the 10th. But on the 21st of October, which is this weekend, we've got our Crawford County haunted tours. It's $10 a person. We're leaving. I think we're going to start out from the Oblong Park. So if you guys want to attend that, just send us a message. Say, hey, I want to attend your haunted tours this weekend. Tell me how many people you have. And you just meet at the Oblong Park. We'll be leaving from there and doing our annual Crawford County tours where we go around to different locations in Crawford County. Be a few cemeteries, a couple buildings. If you've been on one before, it is a similar haunted tour. I think we may add an extra stop in there this year that's not been on our tour list before, just to change it up a little. So try to get you guys comments up there so I can see what you're saying. There we go. All right, now I can read your comments. Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in. It's Karen and Tricia and Delmer and Vicky and Melissa, and got quite a few out there. Audrey, Dwayne, Wes. Wes is on here. He's one of the guys from the St. Louis group, guys, and he's been going on they've been going on all of our tours. Really cool people. We've been trying to show them the ropes, and they got a team going over there in St. Louis now, which is pretty neat. And they're trying to follow our type of standards and protocols, which is nice to see. And they're trying to debunk stuff just like we are. Pretty cool team, the St. Louis Paranormal guys. You got to check them out. If you're on here, Wes, throw out. I think they've got a page now. If you do, throw the page link up in the comments, Wes, if you're out there listening, or any of you. I've seen you on here a minute ago, but not sure if you're still listening. But it was a pretty cool event last weekend. But again, like I say, Crawford County tours this Friday night, 7 p.m. Saturday night, that's going to be our Lawrence County haunted tours coming up Saturday night, 7 p.m. It's $20 a person. We're going to meet at the United Methodist Village in Lawrenceville, Illinois there, and take you guys to 4. It's going to be 4 buildings on the tour and 4 outside locations on that haunted tour of Lawrence County. I'm kind of jealous of Lawrence County, guys. I mean, we're from Crawford County here, and they got more cooler buildings and more haunted stuff than we have here in Crawford County. I mean, we got some crazy places here in Crawford, but Lawrence County really has some cool old buildings left. Here in Crawford, they keep getting tore down. I don't know, just people don't respect history, and they tear down all these old buildings and locations, even old churches and stuff we used to investigate. Houses have been tore down here. Just not a lot of structures left here in Crawford County that are haunted, other than really the Fife Opera House over at Palestine, Bel Air Schoolhouse. It's pretty haunted. The old Kibbe General Store, which is also on our haunted places list here in Crawford that we take people to. So there's a few here, but nothing like Lawrence County with their Methodist Village and Pine Lawn Manor, the old jail. I mean, there's a lot of locations down in Lawrence County that we investigate. We investigated the old armory before, the Elks. We investigated it, the Masonic Lodge. Just a lot of locations in Lawrence County compared to Crawford. So Saturday night, again, check our tour list if you guys want in on that. It's starting to fill up Saturday night, so definitely do that quick. There, Wes has got it thrown out there. Here, I'll pop it up on the screen. Thank you, Wes. St. Louis Paranormal Investigations crew on Facebook. Check them out, guys. They're doing a really good job. Like I say, they are. I'm really impressed with them. They're trying to debunk stuff. They take a skeptical approach to paranormal research, and that's what we want. And that's what we like to see. These new groups starting out. I mean, couldn't ask for a better group of people there. So, but anyway, if you guys want to take our Lawrence County tour, like I was saying, it is filling up quick. I think we've got 10 to 12 people, and we may shut it off around 30. I don't know. It depends on how many. We had like around 40 or so at Pine Lawn Manor the other night, and that was pretty big. So we may shut it off around 30. So definitely try to message me and reserve a spot for this Saturday night for the Lawrence County tour or the Crawford County tour Friday night. Then again, October 28th, we have the overnight paranormal investigation at the old jail in City Hall. Now, that's just all night at the old jail in City Hall there. We're going to be there from 7 p.m. till sunup, and definitely check that out too if you're interested in just a overnight at the old jail. It's going to be pretty cool. Then on October 29th, we have the Edward Dobbins Masonic Lodge number 164 overnight paranormal investigation at Lawrenceville. That's on the 29th, 7 p.m., $20 per person. Again, all this money gets donated back to the building owners. We donate the money back to the lodge. They give it to different charities for kids, the Shriners, hospitals, and stuff like that when we do the Masonic Lodge. So that's a really cool event. I love raising money for that one because I know it goes to a good cause. So, definitely, check out the Masonic Lodge on the 29th. And then October 30th, we are returning to Pine Lawn Manor for a public overnight investigation. We will be there 3 nights in a row. We will be there the 30th, the 31st, which is Halloween, and November 1st, which is All Souls Day. But, if you watched my history of Halloween last year, you need to go back and rewatch that if you didn't see my episode on the history of Halloween and paranormal research involving Halloween. It was a pretty cool episode, All Souls Day and stuff. Even going into November 1st, people believe that the veil between this world and the next was at its thinnest. So, the dead can communicate with us around our modern day, what we call Halloween now in the United States. So 31st into the 1st of November seems to be legitimately more active. I don't know. It goes way back, guys. I mean, there could be some truth to, this veil and it being the thinnest at that time of the year because Pine Lawn Manor goes nuts on Halloween. I mean, just absolutely crazy. And I know it's like a weekday, I believe, which really sucks this year. I got to look at my calendar. But, Halloween falls on a bad day this year, but we're doing it anyway. It falls on a Monday, yeah. And then Tuesday night, which would be All Souls Day, is on November 1st. That's a Tuesday. So Monday and Tuesday. I know a lot of you guys can't get off work and do that stuff, but if any of you can attend on Halloween night, it's open to the public. We're again doing the haunted tours at Pine Lawn Manor, and we probably will go live. So definitely check out our Facebook page because we got to go live on Halloween. We can't leave you guys out, especially the people out there that have to go to work in the morning and you need something to watch on Halloween and go to bed. We can't leave you guys out. We're going to go live. So, we may go live here and there, cut the live feed, come back on. But we are going to go live probably off and on Halloween night. So that's when everything gets spooky at Pine Lawn. So, so that's my daughter's birthday. That's cool. It's also Becky, one of my team members' birthday on Halloween night. So I want to wish her a happy birthday and Becky. So that's pretty cool. I wish I had a cool birthday like Halloween. I was almost born on the 4th of July, though, but I'd rather have been Halloween. I'm jealous. But anyway, guys, tonight's episode also, we're going to be talking about some of the top 5 places that we believe to be haunted and why they're haunted. Kind of making a little Halloween episode regarding, some of these locations. And if you guys have any questions out there, feel free to pop them out there on the comment section. I will try to answer as many as I can. But we're going to be talking about, locations that the top 5 that I believe to be haunted, our opinions regarding, the paranormal activity that takes place at these places. And one of the top, locations that, people report to be haunted and that we have actually found activity in are cemeteries, old, cemeteries. And there's a big misconception, and we're going to get into when we talk about some other stuff here about, the psychological aspect of some of these locations, especially, old cemeteries. The older the cemetery, the more haunted people believe it is. And we've done a lot of research into, is the older sections of the cemetery more haunted than the newer sections? And we've had mixed results. I think it's just the individual ghosts and spirits associated with that particular location. It's not whether it's old or new. Um, Although sometimes I believe newer uh, like when we've investigated an old cemetery, for instance, and then we moved to a newer location or a newer part of the cemetery where somebody was just buried. That's a fresh burial. And I believe hauntings sometimes, right after somebody passes away or, soon after somebody passes away can be more active and kind of fade out over time. And I think it's because I don't know if the one who passed away has a transitioning period, they're transitioning over, maybe crossing over later on, and they don't want to at first. So sometimes, newer deaths, newer parts of the cemetery where people have just been buried can be just as haunted as your typical, old, scary looking settings. And it's a psychological aspect a lot of times with the old stuff, even abandoned buildings, which we're going to get into next, and the way the mind, views these buildings and the way people perceive things. I mean, we've always been taught since they were little, that these old creepy buildings that are abandoned are haunted, and the new ones that are occupied aren't. That's just not the way it is sometimes. But cemeteries, have a long history of hauntings. Cemeteries are like probably some of the most top haunted locations in the world when you go to look at haunted places lists. And I love investigating cemeteries. I've been investigating and researching cemeteries for years. I mean, that was my thing starting out. And like when I first started out, I was like, cemeteries are the thing. I mean, that's it's the most haunted places you can find. I thought, but not now. We'll get to number one here in a minute because I'm kind of doing these in order of how I believe them to be haunted. And cemeteries is last on my number 5 list. So, but I think the reason cemeteries become haunted too is because maybe people have a connection to their bodies still, or uh, their tombstones are the only thing left with some of these people. Some of these people that died in the late 1800s, early 1800s, like 1812, 1818, there's nothing left of their memory here really, unless they were really famous and, made a mark on history. These normal individuals is what I'm talking about. That stone, that piece of stone sticking out of that earth, if it's still even there, is the only memory these people, the only thing connected to their life on earth still here. And I believe that can cause a, connection to that person still, the soul on that tombstone. And I think that's the reason why some cemeteries are haunted. It's just still a connection to the person's body being there in the ground, their mortal remains of when they were here. And, they want to stay close to that and sometimes even be protective of that location. That's the only thing that's left of them here. And, it's kind of a weird theory anyway, because, what's the point in protecting something you don't need anymore? Our vehicles are kind of like, or our bodies are kind of like vehicles. It's kind of like you drive your car to the store. Our soul drives the body around. Once you die, that soul leaves the body and you don't longer, you don't need it anymore. So why cemeteries? Why are cemeteries so haunted? Why are the ghosts so protective of locations where they're buried? And I think it just is the memory, the stones, and that's why I hate vandalism. I hate when I see kids going out and vandalizing locations, vandalizing cemeteries, thinking it's going to increase activity, or they're just doing it for some weird thrill. I don't understand it. I never have understood it. They're disrespecting the dead. They're tearing stuff up. But vandalism, is really bad. And then there's no memory of that person left at all. Just like there was a place called Redford Cemetery in Jasper County that we investigated. And there was a guy buried in the back part of the woods named James Wheeler. And he was buried outside the cemetery. We believe he was an African American man. And at the time, there was a African American family living in the area. It also has another nickname, which I'm not going to say on the air. But supposedly, this family was killed in the area, and he was buried back in the woods in the cemetery. There's a lot of different rumors, outcasts, even witches. We've talked about, Betsy Reed could be buried in the woods, or there's a place down in Chansey, Illinois, called Charlottesville Cemetery, where there's a guy possibly buried in the woods because he was a horse thief and murderer. They buried people like that, outcasts, out away from the regular cemeteries a lot of times. So you will find people buried in the borders and the outskirts of the woods in a lot of these, rural cemeteries. And you got to walk a quarter of a mile back from Redford Cemetery over here in Jasper County to find this grave. Well, a few years back, a few people went out there, vandalized a tombstone, and tore it up. And it was just totally disrespectful. And me and Dickerson, when he was still on my team, we went back and found it. We tried to piece it back together. We put it back together the best we could and laid it at the base of a tree. I took GPS coordinates of it, but I probably have the last known pictures of that tombstone, because I would take pictures of it often when I was back there, and now it's just completely destroyed. So I probably have the only pictures, the last known pictures of that tombstone, probably. Unless anybody else out there has them, definitely let me know, because I'd like to see them. That's pretty cool. But anyway, cemeteries just hold a special place, I think, for people's the connection to the soul and body. And some people believe they're portals from this world to the next. They believe that the cemetery is actually the location where a portal opens up and the soul can travel from, the world of the dead to our world, whichever you want to call it. We may be the dead ones. I don't know. We may be ghosts to them, and that's often what I think. We may be the ones, haunting them. But these cemeteries are really haunted. A lot of them, also, especially if there's been a suicide in a cemetery. Now that's a double, whammy right there. If you get a suicide or some type of tragic death inside a cemetery, then they can definitely be more active. And there have been some cemeteries where people do that, and people get sad. They mourn the loss of their loved ones, and they go to the tombstone, of their loved one, and they commit suicide, which is an unfortunate event. There's a lot of mental illness out there, and unfortunately, stuff like that happens in some of these cemeteries. And cemeteries are a popular place for people to commit suicide. I know several cemeteries where suicides have taken place, and it's unfortunate. People don't get help and with everything, but that's another reason, though, why cemeteries can be haunted if a tragic event takes place, obviously, in the cemetery as well. Here's read some of your comments now real quick about that before we move on to the next one. There's a cemetery that has the last Indian in Orchard Township. That's cool. There's a huge stone that tells her story. Everyone leaves little objects on her stone. Seems like I've been to that, but I don't know. Hey, Trudy, can you send me the name of that privately? Because I think I've been there. Maybe not. I've been to one similar to that anyway. So, if you could send me like a private message or a page of private message and let me know where that's at, that'd be pretty cool. Thank you. And then I believe that's Becky commenting for us there. Let me see. She says many cemeteries are started on Native American mounds or burial grounds. Yes, good point, Becky. Me and Becky's investigated several burial grounds. We used to go out to some burial grounds or some places on some of our land over here where we believed to be Native Americans buried. And we got some really crazy activity. And there's also, like she says, a lot of these cemeteries, a lot of these locations were Native American burial grounds. And then white men came in and put bodies on top of them. One, for instance, is the Mound Cemetery over in Jasper County, Illinois, where Burl Ives is buried. That location was originally a Indian burial ground before it was a white man's cemetery. And I don't even know how it's legal to do that. But yeah, there's a lot of locations where they put cemeteries over, burial grounds, Indian burial grounds. Another one, for instance, is South Bend Cemetery, south of Oblong, also known as like the Dark Bend Cemetery down in the Ambraw River area. Again, that whole area was known as the Dark Bend, and there's a location, called South Bend Cemetery down there. And they were burying. I know who the family is and who was buried there because I've done all the history on it, but I'm not going to mention them, online here. But yeah, there was a certain family that was burying some of their family members down there, and as they were, recently in modern times here, and they dug into some Native American graves as they was digging. So they were told not to dig in that part of the cemetery again because they actually uncovered some Native American remains down there in South Bend Cemetery, the Dark Bend, they also call it cemetery, south of Oblong. So yeah, that happens a lot, and cemeteries have a long history of being haunted, obviously, for multiple different reasons. And they're one of my favorite places just because of the research capability of them. As far as like the research goes, a lot of our cemeteries are backwoods cemeteries. We're fortunate enough, like our paranormal investigation team lives in an area to where, a lot of these cemeteries are remote locations, not a lot of power lines. I mean, we've got some way back lanes where, there's no power lines, and that is awesome because when you have no power lines, you have no natural man-made electromagnetic disturbances unless you bring your cell phones and cameras and all that. But you can really control the environment when you get into the cemetery. It doesn't have any power lines overhead. It's in the middle of the woods. There's no houses nearby with Wi-Fi going, no internet, so you can shut the phones off, shut the cameras off, kill all, electronic devices on you. So therefore, there's no EMF disturbances that can be, man-made. So if you do get some type of electromagnetic disturbance in the middle of the woods on a tombstone, with no power lines, no source of electromagnetic fields created by people, then you've got a cool, kind of a cool EMF reading there. I mean, but you still got to look at other things. I mean, the geomagnetic field of the earth can disrupt, EMF meters, lightning storms, incoming thunderstorms, can actually disrupt some tri-field meters. They're that sensitive. If you got an incoming lightning storm, it's crazy. Those things the tri-field natural meter will pick up on a lightning strike or electromagnetic, disturbances in the atmosphere from a long way away. So you got to be careful with that. But remote cemeteries are really cool for research purposes. EVP, you don't have a lot of people out there yelling and talking. You don't have cars driving by. So it's a really quiet environment for conducting EVP research, ITC research, instrumental transcommunication. I like just straight out EVP with a recorder and nothing else, in the woods, just because, it's quiet. I mean, that's what we look for, so there's no false anomalies or false audio segments getting recorded there. What's Becky said? Love the old cemeteries, especially the pioneer cemeteries. Karen says, yes, the mound. I'm sure she's been out there. But yeah, cemeteries, guys, number 5. So we are going to move on to houses. Just straight out old houses, where people have lived, died, they lived there their whole life. Houses are another location where, paranormal activity takes place, often more than what you get in a cemetery. And I want to get into what I call the old house effect. And it's a psychological thing people go through. It's again, people are drawn to old, scary things. They want to believe they're haunted just because of the looks of them. And I call this, the old house effect or the haunted. Not your typical old haunted house right there. So you got a little ghost walking around upstairs if you looked real close. But people want to believe that these old locations are haunted just because they look creepy. It's a psychological thing that happens to people. It's just instilled in our mind from movies and Hollywood that these old buildings, these old houses are haunted. And it's not always the case, Obviously, you have to have history to have a haunting. Don't get me wrong. And the older the house, the more history you've had, and the more likely it is to be haunted. But some newer homes can have just as much activity, even if they were built on a cemetery, built on an Indian burial ground. They had recent tragic events that maybe an older house, have a house that was built 2 years ago, maybe have a family that got murdered in there, and then a suicide took place in the same house, and then just random things. But you have to have history in order to create hauntings, and a lot of tragic history and negative history, unfortunately, creates more hauntings than positive stuff. It seems like. So, like I said, I always say, without history, you can't have a haunting. But the houses, people are connected to their houses. They live there, obviously, they die there. And houses sometimes can be more haunted than cemeteries, just because that's where that person stayed and dwelled at, and they were there, day in and day out. A lot of memories are made in houses, from holidays to birthday parties. People live there. So houses are probably, that's our top four, or number four on our top five list of locations that are haunted, obviously. One of the craziest houses I ever experienced, I talked about it before on here, was called the Robinson Spook House over in Robinson, Illinois. It was on, I think it was North Jefferson Street, if I'm not wrong, on that street there. It's no longer there. It's been torn down. But just amazing activity in that house. Doors would open and shut. We would see stuff fly around upstairs. There was a set of crutches that would move around inside the house. I was doing haunted tours in there. Me and the owner was the only one that had the key, and he actually went on vacation, so he wasn't even in the area. I came to unlock the house one night for the tours, and the crutches were upstairs. I came to unlock the house, and they were forming an X across the stairway in the basement when I unlocked the basement to go down there. Just a lot of strange things happened in that house. The former owner, and again, I've talked about it a lot on here, he called us in because he was going to renovate it and turn it into apartments. And he was hearing knocking and banging coming from underneath. He was hearing these knocks coming from the basement area that he couldn't figure out what it was. So he called us in to investigate it. And this has been years ago. I'm talking over 15 years ago. Maybe 20, I don't know, at least 15 years ago. We started investigating this place, and just incredible activity. And we didn't experience the knocks and bangs that he had reported to us until about 30 or more, I think it was. I have to look at my papers. It was way into our investigations where we finally experienced the knocks and bangs from that basement area that he had originally reported. We investigated that thing a lot. We heard voices in there, disembodied voices. I heard a guy go, "Get out." Like just plain as day one time. Me and another buddy was in there and heard that. He took off running down the street to the where the Mexican restaurant is now. He ended up clear down the street there, almost on the main street, before I could get to him in a vehicle. So that's how fast he took off running. We've had like so many things happen in there. Barb Legg, one of my former team members, she was outside the Robinson Spook House, we call it. And she's still, I don't know. This could have been some natural explanation, but just lost your comments for a minute. Sorry, guys. There we go. Anyway, Barb Legg was outside this house one night, and I think Becky was there too. She can verify this. She's still on here, it looks like. But Barb got knocked down in front of the house on the sidewalk area. Came up bloody. I think it even broke her glasses. She had a bloody lip and nose, if I remember right. But she fell down. She swears it felt like somebody knocked her down out there. I don't know, maybe she tripped, but something happened to her. We got multiple EVPs in that location of this man saying he was going to choke us too. He was like, "I'm going to choke you. I'm going to choke you." There's multiple EVPs of that. Just kind of a weird presence in there. I wouldn't call it evil. I don't believe in evil spirits as to say, like demons or that type of thing. But people can be evil themselves. I've talked about that on a lot of the past shows. It's not that I don't believe, if it's evil spirits, it's people. It's not something other than people. We're evil. There's good and evil in all of us, look at the murderers. Look at the, Hitler, yeah, he's going to be an evil spirit but he was a person. I don't believe in spirits. I guess what I'm trying to say, that it's not in human form, like the demonic stuff, like the Catholic Church and everything believes in. that is not in the form of humans or something that has lived here. Don't believe in any of that. I've never encountered anything. I've tried to investigate everything regarding demons. I've went on several demonic calls. I've been in the presence of several so-called demonic possessions. It was all mental illness that I witnessed. The people were all mentally ill, unfortunately. They were not possessed by demons. And gosh, it's a scary sight, let me tell you. I mean, they can throw you around, scratch you, push you, mumble stuff you don't even know what they're saying. And unfortunately, it is a mental illness. But all the demonic activity, and I try to investigate demonic activity. I mean, that's what I try to go to. I mean, if it's bad and evil and demonic, send me there because I want to see it. I want to, maybe someday it'll change my mind, but everything I've seen so far has just been mentally ill people when it comes to demonic possession. Same way with evil spirits, though. People can be evil themselves. So, yeah, there can be some rough ghosts out there. Obviously, when they die, they may be able to, keep those same characteristics in death that they had in life. So as far as evil spirits in that sense, yes, people are evil, but I don't believe in demonic stuff, but that house had I guess a mean one there. We'll put it that way. He was a meaner ghost. He would shove people down. He actually shoved the guy who called us in to investigate down into the kitchen area, knocked him down. So, there have been some crazy things in our past that we've investigated. We try to debunk everything, though. Could he have fell down? Yeah. I mean, we didn't get it. We didn't witness him, get shoved down by this ghost. That's why he called us in. I didn't personally witness this guy go flying from a ghost. So, who knows what happened. But houses, on our number 4 list, a lot of houses are haunted, obviously, guys, especially from murders, suicides. We investigated a location called Willow's Weep, total hoax. It's been on the Discovery Channel. It's been on all kinds of channels, History Channel, I think. But just total hoax, Willow's Weep. There was a suicide that took place there. The family was really upset about the way the new owner is trying to portray that suicide and make it into one of the most haunted places on earth. And he's trying to make money off of this tragic event that took place in their family. The guy was a really nice guy going through hard times, and he committed suicide in there. A lot of locations have had suicides in them. That does not make them evil. That does not make them, the most haunted places on earth. Just because a suicide took place, that doesn't make that person evil, and it doesn't make those locations evil. Those are people that have feelings just like us. And you can't go in and disrespect a location like that, especially a family's name like this current owner did at Willow's Weep, and expect to get away with it. So they called us in, and we debunked the heck out of that place. And it wasn't just because the family wanted us to. We went in with an open mind, skeptical mind. We were going to tell them it's either haunted like this guy's saying it is, or you guys are right and he's hoaxing everyone. We went in on a neutral basis. No questions asked. We didn't lean toward one side or the other, even though we are skeptical and we try to debunk things. We weren't on the family side versus, Dave's side, the owner. We went in with an open mind, and we debunked everything that the owner had said was paranormal. I mean, there was doors on hinges, spring-loaded hinges that would shut by themselves. I mean, they were big loaded springs. This is Willow's Weep we're talking about, guys. It's been on the History Channel, and I think, I can't even remember. It's been on different channels, but it's over in Indiana. And the doors were all on spring-loaded hinges, which make them close. There was knocks underneath that people were experiencing. Well, when you step in one part of the floor, it's like a roller coaster. The boards go up and hit and knock in another area, which makes it sound like something's knocking. The blood on the chair that supposedly the guy committed suicide in, the family said that the chair is not even the right chair, that chair was burnt after the family member killed himself in the chair, shot himself in it. The current owner and the last one is claiming that the chair in there is the suicide chair and that is real blood all over the chair. We did a blood test on that chair, and it came back negative for human blood. We swabbed the chair, and we did a blood test on it, and it came back negative for human blood. So whatever they had poured on that chair to make it look like blood, it is not blood. and this guy is just hoaxing people. So, and we call out hoaxes. I don't care who is listening or who's watching. If it's a hoax, we will call you out. And we did with that place. We did with McPike Mansion, talking about haunted houses. Sharon or McPike Mansion. We caught her faking things there, stomping on the floors. We had video cameras set up. She admitted to faking the evidence, faking the activity, to try to make it seem like it was more haunted, because she didn't want the reputation of the mansion to be ruined by us debunking it. So she made it haunted herself, which was even worse. When the first time we were there, we might have found legitimate activity and recorded it. The second time, she started faking stuff and just totally ruined her credibility. I mean, McPike Mansion's a total hoax, in my opinion. The owner is a hoax. Let's put it that way. The mansion itself might have activity. The owner, a hoax. And that's the problem, guys. You get a lot of these locations that could be haunted and have potential, and their owners want to make it more haunted than what it actually is. You have these haunted owners, and they're in it for the entertainment purposes and not the paranormal research like they should be. They want the money, the fame, and whatever off the location, and they will go to do crazy things to make it look like the place is haunted. We just caught fake. That is very true. Good to see Randy on here tonight. I haven't seen Randy in a little while. There's a disturbing amount of hoaxing and general BS in this field that damages the integrity of the entire paranormal field, and it does. Like he's saying, it makes us all look bad, because we're out there doing this stuff, trying to get legitimate activity and come up with, actual evidence of paranormal occurrences and phenomena. And the people that try to fake it, make the whole field in general look bad, like he's saying. Then everybody thinks we all do that stuff, and we're not all like that. It's like Randy, Randy's into the parapsychology side of it, and a bunch of stuff. We've actually had Randy on my talk show. I'd like to have him back on, because we get into some good conversations about poltergeist activity and stuff. But yeah, you got to be extremely careful some of these houses, because people will fake the activity to make it look like something it's not. Next on my list of top 5 haunted locations, we have found to have unusual occurrences taking place are battlefields. So kind of getting off the house kick here for a minute. But yeah, battlefields, we went out to Gettysburg, and actually Randy was out at Gettysburg there with us, I think. Yeah, actually that's where I'm at. Randy went for the first time, was out at Gettysburg. I was just commenting on here. We investigated places like Devil's Den, the Gettysburg battlefields. There was a house, and I cannot remember the name of that house right now. The Wade House, I think. Jenny Wade House, maybe. I was looking at all my flyers and stuff up there from different haunted places. But anyway, we investigated a lot of places in the Gettysburg, Pennsylvania area, and battlefields are truly some unique places. I mean, you've got a lot of energy there, a lot of energy that's absorbed into the atmosphere. And if you know anything about residual hauntings, even that can even create a residual type event to where, these locations absorb such a negativity, a lot of death in one place over a short amount of time with some of these battles that took place. So, a lot of death, a lot of emotion, a lot of emotion and emotion and the output of, the psychokinetic energy of that going into the atmosphere can maybe put a stain on the environment. And then that energy, that psychokinetic energy that's in this atmosphere can be released over time into these environments, and you can hear residual activity of gunshots that took place, years ago. I mean, and that's one thing people report on these battlefields is gunshots. Well, there's obviously not a soul involved in a gunshot. And I've talked about this when I talked about EVP and recording electronic voice phenomena and ITC, instrumental transcommunication. Gunshots and certain sounds absolutely do not have a soul. So, we're not dealing with an intelligent ghost or spirit unless you go buy into the belief that these ghosts and spirits are still shooting firearms, and that's what we're hearing. I honestly believe that the sounds have absorbed into the atmosphere over the year and being released again, like a movie replaying itself, a dimensional overlap or tearing in the fabric of time. I don't think the ghosts and spirits are still there firing guns. I mean, they could be. I mean, that is one theory, though, that these spirits and ghosts are still reliving the war. They're still there fighting because they don't realize they're dead, or they're so I guess so hung up and so faithful to one side or the other. When it came to the Civil War, that they're still fighting the other side. And that's a theory. That's a theory that is out there, or kind of hypothesis that they could be still there fighting. But a sound can't have a soul. And that's where we get into the weird stuff, and we get into why do people hear sounds that aren't related to an actual person, and how can that sound be intelligent? A gunshot's not a soul. So they hear cannon firing, they hear multiple gunshots, and I actually heard gunshots when I was at Gettysburg. Unless there's a firing range, close. I don't know, which there could be. I mean, I could debunk it and say, yeah, there was a bunch of people out shooting at night. It was Pennsylvania. I mean, we do that in Southern Illinois sometimes. People go out in their backyards and fire off some guns every once in a while. But it was just strange. The gunshots I heard sounded like boom, 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 kind of like a firing line. Was I hearing residual sounds of the past? I don't know. It could have been. We tried to record some of it. We actually did record a few of them on Dickerson's recorder at the time. We had a Tascam recorder we were using. We recorded some strange sounds. And he believes he also heard somebody yelling almost like orders back and forth. And I still got to get that EVP session from him sometime. But he was hearing yelling back and forth before the gunshots started. But I don't know, guys. It's just a lot of strange things. The battlefields, though, are extremely haunted, and I had a lot of weird feelings. And if you've ever been to one of these battlefields, I mean, and you have any type of, even remotely sensitive to the other side, you can feel the energy there. I mean, you can just feel the thickness of the air. And people have reported walking through these battlefields and having complete mental images and replaying of time take place in their head. This one lady I seen that they had interviewed had actually fell down, and I believe she fell down and went unconscious. And during her unconscious period of time there, it was on one of the battlefields in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania area. She saw the battles taking place. She was standing in blood, like ankle deep, and bodies laying around, and people screaming, and guns firing, and cannons going off. And then she woke back up, and everything's back to normal. I mean, did she actually go into that time period and experience some type of time travel or dimensional overlap to where she's seen these events taking place again? A lot of people have reported this phenomena at Gettysburg. And people have waking visions to where they're walking through the battlefields and the images start flashing in their head of, the events and stuff that took place there. They start seeing people falling around them, and then they kind of come out of it, kind of like daydreams. It's a reported phenomena there that just, there's so many people that report that you've got to look into it. I mean, there's got to be something going on there. Time warp, yeah, like she said. Yeah, it could be, Trudy, some type of time warp. Deb, with the reenactments they do for these battles stir up activity. Yes, that's another thing that I have had reports of. Even around here, when they do reenactments, they have a reenactment that they do down at Vincennes, Indiana, the Rendezvous down there. They do an old reenactment in that area near the river by the George Rogers Clark Memorial. If you guys have ever been to the Vincennes, Indiana area, a lot of people have reported paranormal activity during and after those events, especially at night when they're camped in the old style tents and stuff, because they're reenacting everything that took place there. But yeah, I do truly believe, reenactments could stir up some type of even, even time like events. Maybe it could spark something for that battery to release that replay again, that replay of time. I don't know. We don't know how it works. It's all, hypothesis and theories on how these events take place that people are witnessing at these battlefields. But the reenactments definitely stirred up, Deb. A lot of reports of that happening. Let me see here. Becky says, haven't there been reenactors at Gettysburg who were acting out the battles who saw soldiers disappear, ghostly soldiers? Yep. Yeah, it's happened there. I mean, it's happened at a lot of the reenactment sites. People will encounter all kinds of ghosts as they're doing the reenactments. And the same type of phenomena occurs. We were talking, if you guys have ever taken our Masonic Lodge tour there at the Lawrenceville Masonic Lodge, a lot of the Masons will report seeing older Freemasons up in the balcony area while degree work is going on in the Masonic Lodge, where they're initiating, new Masons into the lodge. They'll look up in the balcony area and see people walking around up there during the degree work. Again, kind of like a time warp, possibly. It could be a residual type ghost or haunting. Another sign that it's not an intelligent ghost or spirit and it's residual like activity is people will report ghosts and spirits going through doorways that are no longer there. They'll go through a doorway, and maybe they're floating above the doorway instead of going directly through where it's at, or they're higher than the floor. That's a good sign that maybe it's a replay in time too, that the floor was actually higher back in the day or lower back in the day, creating the illusion that they're floating. And you're actually seeing a replay in time, and maybe they've raised the ceiling, raised the floor, changed door locations, sealed doors up, sealed windows up. Ghosts appear to walk through walls. There could have been a door there in their time period. They're walking through a doorway that was there 100 years ago and has now been covered up. So, I mean, that could explain some residual like activity too of these ghosts and spirits just being a replay in time, an event taking place where, they're just coming through these doorways and that are no longer there, but were there in their time period. So there's a lot of theories, hypotheses on how what people experience when they see these things, and if they even do. I always say too, there's a lot more haunted people than there are haunted places. People want to believe in ghosts and spirits so badly that they can create some of this mentally too, I believe. People want to believe in the afterlife so badly, or especially after they experience the loss of a loved one. They want to connect to that loved one so bad that everything becomes them. Everything they see, is caused by them. And it's a grieving process. There's a lot of psychological aspects that go into that. People with their loved ones, especially after they die, people experience a lot of things. Is it actually that person coming back, or is it just part of the grieving process and they're wanting that person to come back, and it's almost like a type of hallucination to where they see that person. And going into hallucinations, a lot of these buildings going back into houses and locations, and why I like to be out in remote areas like woods to investigate. You can get EMF induced hallucinations. If you get a strong electromagnetic field, it can induce the human mind to see things, start to possibly hallucinate and cause things to happen that aren't actually there. That's why I hate using EMF meters for, when we use electromagnetic field meters, we're using them for checking the surrounding environment and atmosphere, to see if there's any abnormal electromagnetic fields interfering with the person. Not actual, oh my God, this is a ghost. K2 meter just went to red. That's a ghost. No, it's an electromagnetic field that was just created probably by a man-made source. And we want to get to the bottom of what is creating that man-made source. Because a microwave oven, a refrigerator right up against the wall of a person's bed on the other side, with their head up in the back of that refrigerator, can cause a huge electromagnetic disturbance through the wall into that person's sleeping space, and can cause them to hallucinate while they're dreaming, cause them to hallucinate while they're laying in bed. We've had this happen on 2 different investigations where we moved the person's bed, the client's bed, away from the electromagnetic source on the other side of the wall, and their haunting stopped. They quit seeing ghosts. They quit having bad dreams. We found huge electromagnetic fields going into their sleeping area. And once we moved that sleeping area, their bed, away from that source, it ended the activity. So I know absolutely for sure that EMF fields can disturb the human mind and cause people to see things that aren't there, hallucinate, cause them to be jittery, emotional, just a lot of strange effects it can have on you. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you've got like your refrigerator up against your bedroom wall, or you're sleeping right next to the power box, you've got like major power lines over your house. You can't really do nothing about that. They kind of need to move if that's the case. But we always look for that too during investigations. I ask them, do you have any major power lines over your house? Are you near a cell phone tower? Cell phone towers, I've been telling you guys for years, have a strong possibility of causing paranormal activity, in my opinion, whether it be hallucinations from whatever they're putting out to just the energy. And if it is paranormal and ghosts drawing that energy and being able to manifest themselves on the paranormal side, that could be happening, or it could be just straight out the effects of that cell tower on our own minds. So, and quarter of a mile, like I say, from Pine Lawn Manor, the most haunted location I've ever seen on planet Earth, cell phone tower. So, yeah, there's a tower right there, quarter of a mile from it. And Bachelor's Grove, they report a lot of stuff in Bachelor's Grove Cemetery up in the Chicago area. We went there, didn't find a whole lot. Not saying it's not haunted, but it definitely wasn't the most haunted place I've ever seen. But there is a tower there close to Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. Williamsburg Hill, Tower Hill, Illinois, listed as one of the most haunted places around, and it is definitely active. I've experienced activity there. Big tower right there on top of the hill. I mean, a lot of the locations with reported paranormal activity have towers nearby. But yeah, going into the next spot, talking about battlefields there, kind of got off a little on the battlefield rant. We're talking about hospitals next. Number 2 location, top 2 location for paranormal activity. So, I mean, we've investigated a lot of hospitals over the years, abandoned hospitals, even a couple locations we can't talk about that were active, and found that the hospitals are extremely active locations just due to the fact that a lot of people have died there. I mean, so that is our, almost top number 1 spot is a hospital. It's number 2. It's not our top 1 yet, but hospitals, a lot of people go there to, die basically. They have hospice areas. Especially now with COVID, they're probably going to be more haunted. I know I hate talking about COVID, and it kind of pops up all the conspiracy theories, but, if that many people were dying from COVID in the hospitals, if it was actually COVID and all that, I mean, these hospitals are going to be even more haunted. You've got a lot of deaths that took place in a short period of time. Emergency rooms, emergency rooms see a lot of trauma. A lot of people pass away in emergency rooms. And it seems like there's always the same story about some of the hospitals I've investigated that right when somebody gets ready to die, there's always a predictor somewhere in the hospital. There's a certain light that will go out. Sometimes they'll report an exit light will blink or turn off and on right as somebody's starting to die. And that's been reported in 2 hospitals that I've investigated. The exit light will come on and off, and sometimes stay off for like 10 minutes right as somebody's dying and then come back on. And they said it's like clockwork. Obviously, I was not there to witness it because, I wasn't doing the investigation during the time period of when someone passed away there. But a lot of hospitals report just strange things like that. Karen says she vouches for for hospital spooks. But yeah, people will report seeing their loved ones in the hospitals. People passing away will look up and see others standing beside their beds. A lot of times at hospital locations. Yeah, yeah. Becky knows a little bit about that exit sign that I'm talking about. But we're not going to mention any hospital names here. But people will also in these hospitals report, and this happened in several locations, they'll report, basically like doctors of death or somebody like a little girl being seen going into a room right before somebody passes away, or a doctor that's passed away being seen going into a room and then the person passes away. A lot of crazy stories involving hospital hauntings and people seeing things, things moving around in emergency rooms, and abandoned hospitals even keep the activity. We've investigated the old South Pittsburgh Hospital. We investigated the the Paris Hospital. We investigated, several abandoned, hospitals that are no longer in use, and they're extremely active. One of the hospitals up north here we investigated for years, and we done haunted tours at. Multiple apparitions were seen by multiple people, and they all described the same thing. I never seen it, but multiple people on my haunted tours seen it. They would see it over and over again on the same staircase. So I have to put some, I guess some, there had to be a little bit of truth to it, because like that many people wouldn't be seeing the same thing. They were just seeing it on this particular staircase. Yeah, the hospitals can be extremely haunted. And I'm going to get into because I didn't want to go real long tonight. I was just kind of getting on here to do a little Halloween episode and talk about our events and stuff. But our number one, going to get to that real quick, and we're going to talk about that for a minute, is old nursing homes. So, and I'm going to tell you what my hypothesis is, my theories are behind. I mean, we pretty much got this down that these places are the most haunted, and that is old nursing homes, guys. I mean, it's a combination of a home and a hospital sometimes. Not only do a lot of people die there and you have a lot of deaths in nursing homes, but people live there too. That's what they called their home toward the later stages of life. And I think it's the combination of being a home and a hospital that makes them the most haunted. I mean, that's my whole thought process behind it. A lot of people pass away there. A lot of emotions, again, going into these hospital or nursing home deaths. Sorry. And again, some of the most haunted places. Pull these up here real quick if I can get them up. Places like, United Methodist Village, old nursing home. My number 2 most haunted place I've ever seen. I mean, that it's an old nursing home, and lots of, death took place in there. I think it was originally built in 1926, shut down 2018 area. They had a fire around 2005 that shut them down. Or 2005, they started moving people out of the old part. The nursing home areas, are extremely active. We've had that's the only places I've ever seen objects really thrown, other than the spook house, a few other locations. But nursing homes seem to be object throwers. I mean, teleportation, apportation of objects. There have been a few in the United Methodist Village, but nothing like Pine Lawn. The village had a pearl. There was a pearl that got thrown at Courtney one night in there. She was standing in one of the hallways. A pearl flew at her. Several people witnessed that. Myself and James Pinkston, one of my team members, got screws thrown at us in there when we were trying to clean the place up in the Otten Center. And the weird thing was we had unscrewed a sign because the owners had told us we could take this sign down that we wanted, because they're going to remodel the place and everything's going to be removed and gone. So me and James unscrewed this sign, and every time me and James go down the Otten Center hallway now, we've had screws thrown at us. I think I've had it 3 times, and he was with me on 2 of them. So he's had it 2, and I've had it 3 times now. But these screws get thrown at us down Otten Center. Just weird stuff. On one of our haunted tours, a skittle flew out of nowhere, which is weird, because on our haunted tours, a lot of the people were bringing family members of theirs that had passed away there, food and stuff. Like someone would say, "Oh, my grandpa likes Skittles, and my grandpa likes Snickers bars," and they would bring those as offerings to him and kind of leave them there as, a good gesture. And then we got a Skittle thrown at us one night. So, I mean, just very weird. I mean, the stuff they do in these places. But, and as you all know, the most haunted place, is nursing homes. And that's pretty much what Pine Lawn Manor was. I mean, it was a nursing home and home for the mentally disabled. And the Otten Center in United Methodist Village was also the area for the the dementia unit, and I guess you could say the more mentally challenged patients or residents there. And it's the most haunted area of that building, Pine Lawn Manor here. So I'm going to say nursing home slash, I guess you could call them mentally disabled homes, are extremely haunted. And we are looking into a new location, guys. I'm not going to break the news just yet, but I found out about a brand new location that fits that description in our area that I'm trying to get into hardcore, and it even has a connection to Pine Lawn Manor, and it was also a home for the mentally disabled. So hopefully, here within the next 2 weeks, we're going to be doing a live feed at a new location, an investigation at a new location. If I can get them to let us in there, I'm trying to contact the owners right now because we just found out about this place and didn't know that it was connected like this to some of our other locations. And it's going to be a pretty neat paranormal investigation. I think if you guys get to see that, if we get to do it anyway, I will definitely try to go live. Hopefully they let us go live. It'll be my luck they won't let us, but I still want to investigate it regardless, and see what type of activity is going on there, because a lot of these locations were investigated are kind of connected in a way too. There was a location called Anna that they would send people to in Illinois, and there were several of those that came into Pine Lawn Manor in Sumner, Illinois. Sumner, Illinois sent some of their patients, that weren't as bad, to the village at one point, the village back to Pine Lawn Manor to Anna back to Pine Lawn Manor. A lot of these buildings around here and locations for the mentally disabled were kind of connected. So it's kind of cool to dig into the history of these places, but definitely nursing homes and, mentally disabled homes, insane asylums. The asylums are pretty active too. Most of the asylums that we investigate, they're probably up there with the number one on nursing homes. And I've got a lot of theories as to why that is, but I've got a lot of comments here I'm trying to get to. They're not coming up. Sorry, guys. Having some problems. There we go. There. Nursing homes don't have to be empty to be haunted. That's true too. Oh, I know a lot of people that work at nursing homes, Karen, that have experienced activity. A lot of people still work at nursing homes and report paranormal activity on a nightly basis. I mean, they're used to it at this point. So you are definitely correct. And even at Pine Lawn and the village, they were experiencing, especially Pine Lawn Manor, the CNAs, the nurses there were experiencing paranormal activity on a regular basis. The workers, even the maintenance workers were experiencing paranormal activity there. So, it was just well known as being a haunted location before it got abandoned pretty much. Let me see what Audrey's saying here. Have you ever heard of Lucky Point around Monroe City, Indiana? That's been known for UFOs. It's out in the country. Yep, we've investigated Lucky Point several times, Audrey. It's in the middle of nowhere out there. Yeah, it's supposed to be a point where a lot of UFO activity has been witnessed. There's been reports of shaking telephone poles out there, telephone poles that will vibrate extremely bad. They don't know why. Ghost sightings, Bigfoot sightings. It's almost like a Bermuda Triangle area. And yeah, it's called Lucky Point there by Monroe City. Yeah, we've actually been there several times. We sat out there all night one night and seen a couple weird things in the sky, but nothing really we couldn't debunk. We went up to the hill area and the ridge up there, did some EVP sessions, tried to do some ITC sessions. We took EMF meters out there, tri-field meters, see if there was any unusual electromagnetic fields in the area. We checked it for, radioactive activity. We checked like air ion counts out there. We did a lot of stuff out in that area in Lucky Point and tried to debunk or try to come up with some natural explanation as to why, a lot of people were experiencing stuff there. But yeah, we have investigated that. Thanks. Thanks for sharing that. I'd forgot about Lucky Point. It's been years ago since we've been there. A lot of locations we've investigated, we can't go live at because there's no signal, that being one of them. We have absolutely no phone signal in that area. A couple other locations we investigate quite often is Spooklight Hill over near Brazil, Indiana, and a place called Hell's Gate over there. Spooklight Hill has a strange phenomenon of people seeing lights down one of the roads. We actually, on one of our live feeds where we tried to go live there, we didn't have a lot of signal. We took some drones up in the air, flew them over the area, and tried to debunk the activity, when cars would go through, because we thought people were seeing car lights. People will report these ghost lights there at Spooklight Hill near Brazil, Indiana. It's near Bridgeton, Indiana area, kind of where Covered Bridge Fest is located. If anybody goes to the Covered Bridge, which is going on right now. But we took drones up and flew them over the woods and sit cars we on purpose down the road to see if that's what people were experiencing. And we were trying to debunk the activity because there's a crossroad at the bottom of this hill, and we thought people were seeing taillights from a distance and thinking they're the spook light. Well, we were kind of inconclusive with our results. I mean, the car lights can cause an image to appear that looks like a light crossing the road, but I've also witnessed a couple of lights out there that I couldn't explain on a couple of occasions. So that's why I keep going back, because I have seen some strange, unusual lights, self-illuminating lights with no car. Because we, like I say, we took drones, flew them over. We were making sure there was no cars coming. We were checking the local highways, making sure there was no cars going down the highways. And there was a couple times where we saw some strange lights there at Spooklight Hill that I couldn't explain. Don't know what it was. I'm not saying it was a ghost. It could be some type of swamp gas. It could be, phenomena known as ball lightning, which, usually there's some type of electrical, disturbance or thunderstorm activity in the area when that takes place. But swamp gas and, the illuminating lights and ghost lights that people see probably have a natural explanation. I mean, I'm sure it's some type of natural phenomena like a gas illuminating. And I have seen that several times and recorded it. And but the ball lightning is a different story too. People will see ball lightning and it will really freak them out. Ball lightnings like came through people's houses, shot through their TVs. It's about killed people. I mean, it's dangerous stuff sometimes when it comes into your house. I mean, people reported these balls of light coming through their wall and like just blowing the place up and catching it on fire. It'd be a scary event. Got another comment here. That's just Zach coming on saying hi. But yeah, ball lightning, illuminated lights. That's why we're not a big fan of orbs. Orbs are dust particles. If you get an illuminated light source, now that's a different story. If the light source illuminates on its own, then it has to have some sort of energy within itself. These orbs, so-called orbs people talk about, nothing but dust particles. Camera light, the IR light is reflecting off of suspended dust particles in the atmosphere, causing these objects to glow. And that's all it is. I mean, it's just reflection off of suspended particles like dust, pollen, rain, snow, bugs, you name it. Your flash will reflect off of it. And IR light is invisible, and people don't realize that their IR light, especially when they're using IR cameras for ghost hunting, is still putting out light that's reflecting off of these objects, back into their camera. Especially cell phone cameras, they're really bad about picking up dust. You can turn your cell phone light on, take a video, and you'll see all these little particles flying around. And everybody thinks they're orbs and ghosts, and they are not paranormal at all. It's dust particles. So, but if you get a illuminated light source, that's a different story. Illumination is, with no light source available. You're in the woods and you see this ball of light flying around that's green or red or blue, some sort of weird color, and you don't have a flashlight or a camera light, pointed at it. Now that's weird, especially if it has intelligence and starts moving. Still could be some type of swamp gas, but anyway, I think we're going to end tonight's show. We just want to come on and talk a little bit about, our tour schedule, haunted tour schedule, talk about the top 5 places we believe to be haunted. The top 1 is nursing homes and kind of mental institutions, insane asylums, kind of rank up there in my number 1 spot. But I want to thank everybody for watching tonight, and hopefully everybody will check our event schedule. If you do want to try to experience some type of activity for yourself at Pylon Manor, we got Halloween night coming up still. I know it's a Monday night, which sucks, but maybe you guys can come and check it out sometime. If you're in the area, definitely look us up. We'll take you on a private tour any time of the year. We do this all year round, guys. So if you're ever in the Crawford County area, just give us a message and we'll send you, an invite to wherever we're going. We like to take people along, all year round on our investigations, just to try to get people to experience some of the things that we've seen. Yeah, I apologize, guys. See, my comments aren't working real well tonight. I'm trying to bring them up and read them, but I'm not seeing a lot of them. I'm getting glitches in the system tonight. So I know I didn't throw a lot of your comments up just because I some of them are just now popping in. It's kind of like a late response, pretty weird. But we'll see you guys hopefully for Halloween. Definitely be careful out there, guys, and stay safe for Halloween. We'll be at Pylon Manor. If you guys want to join us, send us a message, and we will definitely put you guys on the list for Halloween night. I think it's going to be a cool night. Everything I think points to strange things are going to occur again this year. So we will definitely keep you updated on our show and go live. We are going to go live probably also on Halloween night. So I will see you guys on the next show. Have a good night, everyone. And since this is the last show before Halloween, happy Halloween.